Hi, and welcome to this webinar on tech update from Net Insight about defining new ways to deliver media. My name is Pellinger. I'm co-founder and CTO of Net Insight, and with me today, I will have the product specialist from the product management team going into the Nimbra Aperi and the new Nimbra Edge products. So we will have Tasrian, Urko, and Damien also presenting. So let's look a little bit on the market trends before going into the portfolio and product update. There's a lot of transformation going on in the industry right now, and this is affecting the whole value chain from production and produce, manage, and publish. Overall, you can say there's a big shift towards IP and cloud-based workflows, and this has definitely been accelerated the last half year by the COVID. If you look a little bit first on the production side, there's been a big shift in the remote and distributed production. As I said, definitely accelerated by the COVID. We are seeing a lot of new workflows and new use cases. And we'll actually go into a couple of these in this presentation. We also see a shift towards more cloud-based, both cloud-based technology and cloud-based workflows. And as I said, also to IP networks and open network technologies. Looking more specifically into the cameras, and for especially I would say for tier 2 and perhaps in more enterprise type of productions, we see also wider use of more AI and machine learning, and we have more robotics type of cameras or wide angle optical cameras where you actually zoom in and zoom out to follow the action in the screen, in the image. Some of the important things here, of course, when moving to IP, moving to cloud, is ensuring the quality, ensuring things like synchronization, and having the agility and flexibility to handle the remote and distributed production workflows. This is also affecting the managed parts. Definitely IP is becoming the standards also inside the studios. We are moving from more, legacy and hardware-oriented solutions to more software and IP-oriented solutions. We also see a shift to more cloud and to virtualization in general. I'll come back to that. That's a big shift we're also seeing within Net Insight. The cloud is not just the public cloud. We also see compute resources moving into the appliances in the edge and into the appliances on-prem. And we also see cloud technology and virtual stacks directly on computers on-prem. And tying these together, both through orchestration and through end-to-end solutions, going to be both challenges the coming years, as well as big opportunities in new workflows that we're going to see. All these changes in the workflows and in the technologies is also affecting the whole ecosystem and also the business models and companies within this space. Some of the enablers in the manage is again the adaptability, the openness, the orchestration part, and to be able to be agnostic and tie all these functions together. We also see a big shift towards open APIs to be able to orchestrate this and have best-in-breed products but still create end-to-end solutions. Finally, the publish also, perhaps that was the one that started these trends with a big trend moving to more OTT-like type of distribution. Here we see big trends in the personalization, both on personalization of content and personalization of ads and commercials. Also, the tie into social media will just increase the coming years. And the possibility to have more personalized content and more engaging content is a big theme. Again, AI, analytics of big data and analytics of the content as well as the move into cloud are the big enablers in this segment. If you look at some of these trends, what does that mean for Net Insight and what you're going to see from us the coming years? I think if you go back 5-10 years, Net Insight was known for its reliable video transport, and perhaps also for its proprietary technology on the DTM side. We made a big decision 5-6 years ago to go all open IP and also into cloud. We started this with the 5 platforms, and you'll see it in all our platforms today. Same goes for the APIs. We have opened up all the platforms, both on an appliance level and on our SDN controllers controlling the Net Insight portfolio with open REST APIs to other platforms, to people like Data Miner, also to other orchestration protocols that like Schedule. The other big shift said is IP, and I think the big shift now is moving more from the traditional IP standards of 2022 into 2110, which is the new standards and formats for IP within the studios. But that is also affecting the way how do we transport media between the studios, between events and the studios, and into the cloud eventually. The other big trend really lies with cloud and virtualization of the technology. We at Net Insight are virtualizing all our platforms, and earlier this year we bought Aperi platform that's really a future proof type of solution that is fully virtualized and have a virtualized app thinking of media functions and network functions that you just apply your different apps to build the solution you want on just virtualized hardware. Of course, being able to do this in the different appliances and the different platforms is the possibility to also reuse development. So the same functions that we use on our appliances can also be used in the cloud. This is also a way for us to tie together all the platforms. So when you will look into what you see today and going forward, we are tying together all the platforms from interoperability point of view on IP and cloud and into the cloud. Also, we are supporting all the really any protocol, any network. So whether that's standard SDI 2022, 2110 protocols, or in the cloud, whether it's RIST, SRT, R60, we are supporting all of those. And of course, we're also still supporting the DTM protocols. But it's really becoming more like a Swiss Army knife. You can really tailor-made the platforms to the solutions you want to build. As I said, it's best of breed products being open and having open APIs to create end-to-end solutions. But there are challenges in this still. It's a challenge when it comes to trust boundaries like security, synchronization, reliability. And right now, we believe it's very important to work very closely together in this industry. And therefore, I think you have seen and you will see continued strong collaborations between key players in the market. And as I said, Net Insight's definitely part of that ecosystem and an open ecosystem. We are in a huge transformation, moving to IP and cloud. And we have also a huge installed base, but over 5,000 products, probably more in all the important media hubs around the world. And as I said, we are not shifting and building totally new platforms. We're actually bringing in the new functionality also into the existing platforms through the virtualization that we're doing within also these platforms. And we really want to help and guide in the transition into the IP and cloud environments. So both with the new things you're seeing in the cloud can also now tie together into the existing platforms out there. Another big shift when we're talking to our customers, people want to build more OpEx-based model, more pay-as-you-grow price models. This again was really where Aperi was on the forefront on their floating licenses. We are bringing in this recurring pay-as-you-grow price models into all the platforms in the Net Insight portfolio. So more about that will come. If you go a little bit looking into the actual portfolio update, and you'll soon get into more specifics from our specialists. But where we've been very strong traditionally has been in the live events, whether it's live sports or live events. We also started to see a number of interesting customers from the enterprise segment. And we also see a unification of the contribution and the production workflows for these type of solutions, especially when it comes to tier 2 types of events and sports, with how you see productions in the enterprise, and definitely a move towards more remote and distributed production workflows, both in the sports, but also in things like town halls and news gatherings. As said, one big thing and where we're putting a lot of focus is trust boundaries like security, firewalls, NAT functions, also synchronization functions when moving into IP media. This is traditionally where Aperi has been a leader, and we're bringing a lot of those functionalities and extending those functionalities cross-platform. The other trend, of course, lies in the distribution, and that the whole workflows are moving into the cloud. And so we are both building our new cloud-based contribution, distribution, and intelligent routing platform that we call the Nimbra Edge. And you're going to hear more from our product specialist, Erkku, about this one. But also we are adding functionality ingest directly into the cloud from all our platforms. Through the more ARQ protocols like SRT60 and RIST. On the distribution side, traditionally we've been strong on the DTT side with synchronizing the distribution out to the transmitter sites. This has been declining over the years, but we now see a revamp in the ATSC 3.0, the next generation standard for live broadcast, TV broadcast, especially in the US and in South Korea. Overall, I said on the orchestration automation, we will see an opening up through the REST APIs and opening up to other third-party orchestration tools. But also there's a lot of new things that we are doing within Nimbra Vision with the Stream Manager, being more GUI-oriented, more content-oriented, and more end-to-end provisioning, customer provision-oriented for the portfolio. Moving into the next final, just before I leave it to our specialist, just talking about some of the use cases that we released the last couple of months. It's really within 3 areas. One is very much tied to remote production and synchronized remote production, where we traditionally were very strong on the tier 1 sports side, but we're also now doing more and more things over cloud and into Nimbra Edge and through more internet and unmanaged IP networks. There are also specific things we are doing when it comes, just because we have been forced to do it or had to innovate because of the COVID situation. So things like remote commentary and more distributed remote workflows over internet, things we have released and have use cases on. The other big thing, I think, and one of the big news is IP workflows with 100 gig links and 100 gig access sites. So I'll not talk too much about that, but you will hear from Damon talking about this. Tied to that, as I said, with the whole IP workflow sits the security parts with NAT and firewall, and there's a lot of new things that we have done cross-platform in that. And of course, cloud with our Nimbra Edge, which I really believe is the future of networking, where you have intelligent routing in the cloud and you're tying together all the different platforms, whether it's the Nimbra Aperi or the more traditional Nimbra VA, Nimbra 400 series. They're all tied into Nimbra Edge and creates like a virtual media network, a more virtualized media network environment. So with that, I'll leave it to Damien that just go a little bit more specifically into the products in our portfolio before going into the specifics. Thank you very much for joining us today and hope you will enjoy this presentation.
Thanks very much, Per. And really, this update that we're sharing with you today focuses on our compute platforms and our cloud agnostic software video routing based platform. And just to set a little bit of context, we really have a very, very fine gradation of products coming from entry-level software-based acceleration up to ultra-high capacity FPGA firmware-based acceleration. And you can see that the Nimbra 4, you will see in this presentation that the Nimbra 400 series and applications there scale through the Aperi product series for entry-level, high capacity, high performance compute, all the way up to the ultra high capacity performance and compute. And we will talk about use cases in each one of these. And it's worth mentioning Nimbra Edge, of course, is not just a product that's fantastic for any type of workflow and protocol, but it's also something that we will actively build in and glue our individual edge compute appliances into that cloud-based workflow. So with that, I'll hand over to Urko for Nimbra Edge.
Thank you, Damien. Well, so I would like to start by introducing briefly Nimbra Edge and what is the potential that Nimbra Edge can bring to the customer. So basically, Nimbra Edge, as an overview, is a live media routing service, and one of the key benefits that we can see here is that as Damien and Per said, it's cloud agnostic. That means that it can operate and it can be deployed on any public cloud or even on-premises, self-hosted environments, which give a little more flexibility depending on the policies that each customer can apply. And even though it can be deployed as a hybrid solution where you have different systems or due to some privacy issues that you want to have a separation between what is public cloud and what is private cloud. Overall, as well, we have flexibility when it comes to the ARQ transfer protocols that we are supporting within Nimbra Edge. So we currently support the three main predominant ARQ protocols, RIST, SRT, and 6E. And I will talk a bit more later about the features that we will introduce later on. But overall, it's how intuitive as well Nimbra Edge is, because it not only live media routing service, it contains several dashboards and APIs that you can connect and integrate with other third-party existing services that you have, which gives you a powerful tool to do all the rerouting as well. And of course, it can be customized according to the needs and according to the load of the system. That's another very strong point for Nimbra Edge running on the cloud, that it's possible to scale up and be resilient to any kind of issue that might happen within the network. So we base our technology in Docker containers, and we have a Kubernetes platform that allow us to actually do so. But let's dig more into the features or the upcoming features that we have. For example, for Q4 this year, we, as I discussed before, we are supporting the three main ARQ protocols, but we are making enhancements to make it fully native within what we call the Edge core. So in the next upcoming release, you will see that a lot of different use cases can be done. For instance, we could ingest any transport or IP content from, of course, net inside appliances, for third-party appliances, and even coming from different public cloud provider solutions. So you can ingest that particular traffic directly into Nimbra Edge to offload the egress cost that you have at the very end. So that also is a safe cost solution overall. But not only that, we have been talking with our existing customers, and we understand that we are currently developing a reference API to integrate with different external services, not only for monitoring, but also for the usability of it. We do have two main dashboards within Nimbra Edge, where you have administration dashboard, where you can operate the networking and the underlying infrastructure. And we have the stream manager, which is more, as you can see in the screen here, more lightweight or streamlined UI, where you just drag and drop one input into an output or a group of outputs. So we see a trend into the usability of UI, but as well, we understand that APIs are important, and that's the reason why we are introducing this in Q4 at full speed. Nevertheless, we also are working now, and we will launch by the beginning of the year a new feature that will actually reduce substantially the troubleshooting time, because we want to put a lot of attention into how operators of our Nimbra Edge can minimize the time in case not only operational cost, but in case of troubleshooting. So we will provide specific live monitoring features that will definitely enhance the usability overall of Nimbra Edge. But I also want to bring a use case that is very interesting and actually contains all the features that we have been discussing. So we are currently with a deployment of a large American broadcaster, primarily for primary video distribution. And they have a specific needs where actually Nimbra Edge is, let's say, the way to go when it comes to requirements. Because first, they want to have a multi-region approach. That means that they have one deployment in the US territory of the West and another one in the East, and they want to have a combined UI, so they are able to monitor and to operate all these multi-regions in a unified way. And that's something that actually Nimbra Edge is meant to be, or is built in by default. Another interesting thing is that they needed to have one deployment running on a public cloud provider, but at the same time, they needed to have an instance of Nimbra Edge on-prem. So we managed to do so, and depending on the policies that different customers have, this is very convenient in that way. So we actually make it fully operational within a week. And also now it's in live production. We have multiple concurrent streams working. Also, this particular customer is using all three ARQ transport protocols at the same time. So the input streams are actually 60 protocols. Within Nimbra Edge, we use built-in RIST main profile implementation, and the output goes through SRT protocols and UDP multicast. So you can see the advantages of using Nimbra Edge, not only for being cloud agnostic, but also for supporting all main ARQ protocols. Yep, I think said that, I can move on to Damien to discuss more about Nimbra MSR.
Thanks very much, Urko. And if we look at an overview of the MSR platform, I think a lot of this type of multi-tool capability that Nimbra Edge offers in a cloud agnostic environment is also some of the shared DNA that we have in the MSR platform. And that's the multi-service concept. And if you want to transport IP media, native media, time services, whether that's P2P or it's time-sensitive applications like audio mixing consoles and so on, together with IP Ethernet data and switching over wide area network, over internet infrastructure, or making use of cloud services and cloud-based services and technologies such as Nimbra Edge, then this platform really aggregates a lot of those building blocks, and you can of course mix it how you want to do it. Quite some time ago, already in 2016, we started to refresh our previous generation of MSR products with the virtual function acceleration modules. And we basically have been building on that since then. So we launched our x86 acceleration module at NAB in 2016. Since then, we've added our high capacity FPGA acceleration module on the Nimbra 600. And now with the new generation, the terabit media platform, the Nimbra 1000 series, we have ultra high capacity, very large amounts of memory, high bandwidth memory, and that gives us the ability to do applications, essentially full media applications inside in one acceleration module rather than combining several acceleration modules together. And together with that, of course, across the platform, we're tying into the other initiatives where we're opening up the power of our multi-service platform and the applications through APIs that we see that there's a trend towards building networks and building media functions towards a programmable layer, whether that's service orchestration, SLA management orchestration, or a whole studio orchestration, opening up the power of our system to make that available through API. So if you look at what's new on the MSR platform, then we have the basically two large updates that are coming during during this year, and primarily on the Nimbra 600 in regards to MPEG-4, 4210-bit and 420-8-bit. This is a new virtual function and that we're targeting for low latency remote production. And the main benefit for our customers that have been really satisfied with JPEG 2000 and its balance of quality and bitrate usage compared to uncompressed media is that they now need to make, in some cases, the next step, especially when remote production is becoming more standard, which means that it's also spreading from markets where you maybe have more capacity to markets where you have maybe less capacity. And sometimes you might have a need to make some cost rationalization in existing markets. So you might want to swap out your J2K virtual function for a low latency AVC H.264 virtual function, but you want to retain the low latency characteristics, you want to retain the quality, priority, and you want to do it in a remote production setting. So we hope that our customers will enjoy this release and make use of it to reduce the cost of their connectivity and make the quality of their remote productions even better. The other big release that we have coming towards the end of this year is the 100 gig IP media workflow support. And essentially what this is about is the release of new media acceleration modules on the Nimbra 1060 to 1000 series platform, where we're using that terabit media processing platform to aggregate traffic for both native media formats and IP media formats, as well as consolidate large amounts of processing in the same board, or even to aggregate several boards for even greater density and concentration of processing requirements, and also to aggregate from a service provider point of view, to aggregate the big benefit of moving to IP and Ethernet, of course, is that you can move away from having lots of coax cables, having lots of fiber cables terminating on discrete composite interfaces. You can move towards aggregating all that on a 100 gig or a 25 gig interface, and that's really the payoff with that. So if we look at the next slide, just giving a little bit more detail on what's going to be the content of those media acceleration modules. The first thing I want to mention is that we have been working with a family of acceleration modules, which are compatible with all our applications, so that within the product lines and the different densities and so on, we very, very quickly can roll out new applications across the product lines. We can scale them up and down. We can reform them very quickly. So if we need a different mix of functionality, and really this is trying to prepare the road as much as possible for a future that is more software and cloud-based, but also taking advantage of compute and concentrated functionality that maybe is not going to be available in the cloud in the short term. So we support MSA, non-MSA SFPs at the same time. That means Ethernet, native IP media, and native media formats can be supported on the hardware level, and applications will come to support that in time. On the interface side, we have a high density of 10 and 25 gig interfaces, all fully utilizable, as well as a combination of 10, 25, and 100 gig interfaces with video sync reference and signal monitoring ports. The first applications and the hardware is going to be shipping in the fourth quarter of this year, basically between now and December. And if we look at the use case that we have with one media service provider, essentially this use case is focused on consolidating all of the media services that they have in their global media backbone. And it's a lot of services, and they come in a lot of formats, and this customer has been working with their end user, their customer, for many years. So they've managed to collect a lot of different kinds of legacy formats, a lot of different kinds of bit rates, and pretty much spread out all over the world across their backbone, and they have to bring it back to a local location. And now their customer, who's a production broadcast company, buying this global media transport service from the service provider, they're actually saying, look, we have an IP studio. It's based on native IP media. We have spine leaf architecture locally. We want to be able to use that in a more seamless and predictable way, and be consistent while we're going to build out for the future. So what they've asked the service provider for is, can you give me all my media services aggregated on a single interface? And when you start to add up the amount of services that they have quite a lot, and they need 100 gig really to enable this. So if you're taking in SDI, if you're taking in ASI, compressed MPEG-4, for example, compressed J2K, hand that all over on the same consistent IP format, the same interface, protect all the services at the point of handoff as well. So not just up to the point of handoff, but also protected at the point of handoff out to the customer. And that really enables them to consolidate their service offering, add new services very easily, no need to go out and visit the site, and also make sure that it's consistent with their IP and IT infrastructure building practice. And with that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Tasrin for Aperi.
Thank you, Damien. I will talk about Aperi, followed by Nimbra 400. I will actually follow a little structure here. First, I will briefly speak about the capabilities of the platforms, a little bit of value addition. Then I will talk about the key feature from both platforms and, of course, upcoming releases. So first about the Aperi. As Per mentioned, that NetInsight has acquired Aperi this year, and this is a native IP-based media function virtualization solution for low latency media workflows. This is a cost-effective, high-performance edge computing platform that actually also can be scaled up to high capacity to its 10 gigabit or 4 gigabit level. This is 100% standard-based. It is highly programmable. The applications that runs on the Aperi platform can be controlled through API. Actually, API-first approach is the theme on Aperi solutions, so that our customers can have the full control of orchestration, can integrate with third-party orchestration systems. It is equally integratable with Nimbra Vision or Scheduler or Data Miner or even Dimetis. This is based on a REST API. It is extremely flexible in the sense that user can easily deploy and configure app in the same hardware just by clicking like a stopping and clicking another button by starting. As whenever is needed, it's very fast in terms of deployment scenarios. It is extremely also easy to use via laptop or from a simple web browser. One of the key features from the business model perspective that Aperi brings is OpEx-based kind of licensing regarding the floating and pool licensing model. This gives the operational and cost agility for our customers. And that has been highly appreciated and accepted so far by all our customers. If we move to the next slide, here I would like to talk about one of the key features that Aperi brings in terms of, it's called the NAT firewall. So we already know that the industry is moving towards IP. That automatically brings the need to separate IP network for the obvious security reason. Traditionally, IP firewall will impact the performance and latency when it comes to the media workflow. So that means that there is a need of media-aware solution that can work with high bit rates. This is the solution Aperi brings with NAT firewall for securing and managing media flows at an IP network demarcation point. This is very well accepted by all our customers and especially by the service providers. With NAT firewall, customers can create trust boundary to protect their high value content and make sure that the core network is securely configured, that is free of any malware. If we move to the next slide, where I would like to speak on the upcoming releases. And one of the exciting news here is the mini Aperi. It is called 1101. It is to be released very soon. This is even more cost effective than the previous platform. It is a 1 slot, 1/3 rack wide and a 1 RU compute switch platform. It has the capacity up to 10 gigabit switching and has the pluggable 1 microserver. On the other platform of Aperi, that is pluggable with 5 microservers. Most of the Aperi apps, existing Aperi apps, can be deployed in the similar fashion in 1101. The next capability that we are targeting to bring on Aperi is to create the capabilities to distribute over internet and cloud. This will also bring seamless integration with Nimbra Edge using the open standard-based ARQ technology. And also support for 2110 Studio and ultra low latency lightweight compression are the theme for 2020-21 for Aperi. Since Aperi is based, as I mentioned before, it is based on native IP technology. Moving towards IP workflow all over Aperi is the theme that we are following on. With this information, I would like to move on with Nimbra 400. And what is Nimbra 400? This has been designed for low latency, broadcast quality video transport over any infrastructure. What does it mean? That it can work in well-managed to poorly managed IP network. It is open and truly agnostic with major ARQ technologies and also with major cloud providers. It has native integration for Nimbra Edge. This particular openness with the ARQ and cloud technologies enable our customers to mix and match and not to be locked in with any specific vendor. On top of that, this can do in parallel send and receive in the same hardware. It can be deployed in a point-to-point or point-to-multipoint or daisy chain configuration. The embedded firewall, the transport and management encryption that Nimbra 400 has as a default solution provides the needed security to transport over public network. If we move to the next slide, where I would like to talk about remote production over internet. This is a new addition or new release recently made with Nimbra 400. We all know that remote production over internet comes with some challenges since there is a bandwidth restriction. So that means you need a compression. At the same time, IP transport also adds variable delay. And in order to solve this problem, you need to accurately inject time on the encoder side, and then so that you can play out on the central side. So Nimbra 400 brings this capability in a cost-economic way, so that you can have remote production over internet for your tier 2, tier 3 events, or maybe some special events where the budget is not it has a limited budget. So multi-streams from the single remote node or even multiple remote nodes can be synchronized on the central side with Nimbra 400. Additionally, camera or audio control data, teletalk or talkback can also be transported between the sites over the Ethernet tunnel. And in this particular case, the sites do not need to be same GPS locked. It can be on different sync domains. So with Nimbra 400, remote production over internet can be done in a more cost-economic fashion. If we move to the next slide, here I would like to present a use case of remote production or remote commentary with Nimbra 400. It's the case with mobile links. So mobile links, actually, they use Nimbra MSR platforms for producing some of their larger sports rights in Scandinavia with a distributed production workflow. But during this COVID scenario, it actually brings a twist. And that brings a way to innovate as well. So what they have a Swedish commentary living in Spain. And of course, this COVID situation brought the travel restriction and he could not travel. So that problem has been solved by setting up Nimbra 400 over internet using this low latency solution. He was still sitting in home in Spain and commenting, sending back the audio and also using the Nimbra 400. This is literally at home production. This particular solution with 400 enabled mobile links to rise above the challenges during COVID by maintaining the personal health of their employees, and of course, not to mention still being cost economic. With this, I would like to move on presenting what's coming next on 400. So we are actually approaching some interesting releases in Q4 or end of this year that is bringing risk main profile with an improved performance. On top of that, there will be more functionalities will be added with RIST going forward. ATSC3 contribution over internet with 400 should be available by Q4 as well. Another target release is IP trunk ARQ with 400 with RIST. And this will protect MSR IP trunk over internet. Then the stadiums and event locations can be connected over internet or unmanaged network. The value that will bring that it will reduce the management need and improve stability for both normal and remote production scenario. In 2021 is targeted to bring streaming technologies such as RTMP. 400 then can be used to stream live video directly to the web, and then the broadcaster can deliver their streams to their chosen online video platform or social platforms. Next advancement that is targeted is Ethernet transport capabilities that will have multiple tunnel support. And one of the key features that will bring that customers will have the ability to restrict bandwidth into the corresponding tunnel so that it will not impact the video transport. Some more audio handling functionalities are also on track, such as AC3 pass-through.
So thanks, Tasrian, and thanks for listening in to this webinar on the tech update on the Net Insight portfolio. As you can see, there's a lot of exciting new things coming up, and it's also exciting how we tie together different platforms, how we're reusing a lot of the media network functions cross-platform, both in the cloud and in our appliances, and also moving into 100 gig workflows. If you want to know more details about the products, you will find it data sheets that you can download on our digital event platform, and you have the link here directly on the presentation, or you can go into our web page. The coming weeks will be also more webinars. And if you want to know more about Nimbra Edge, which I personally see is extremely exciting, and also the way how we tie things together, there is a new webinar already on September 29 at 3 p.m. Central European time. Take care out there, and bye-bye.